is still going to be going around to take inputs from different areas and from different people? Do they still have to all 6 geopolitical zones be represented in that committee?
They must have people that will be part of what they are doing. The president has constituted them the way he has. There is nothing stopping them from making sure that they are actually going to reach out to the people. That's what I'm saying. They have to reach out to the people. And in reaching out to the people, they have to reach, they have to touch everybody that is going to participate in the conference. It is finding out the methodology of the conference that they are going to do.
Exactly.
And so the point we are raising, the point I am raising right now is so that they don't make mistakes. They must carry along everybody. I mean the committee.
So I'm not looking at a watertight outcome so that we don't have
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not saying that the president should have brought 50 people in this committee. No, that's not what we're saying. Okay. What we're saying is that the committee must have that responsibility.
Can they also achieve that by going around, having a tour in the
Of course they must. Of course they. I would be surprised if they don't.
Surely, because I remember then when it was constituted, Malpa also pointed out something that, well, she hasn't seen a very young Nigerian who would want to call a representative of the Nigerian youth. Perhaps when they go around, they'll have a kind of discussion with people.
This is exactly what I'm saying, because if right now, the committee, in my opinion, should actually have had representation of youths. There is no way you're going to change Nigeria and sit down and discuss the future of Nigeria without having the youths on board. So even youths should be in this committee. But what the point Nigerians will make and should make is that this committee, by the time it advises the federal government, will be advising the federal government with the advice that Nigerians will not disagree with. So they must do the right thing right from the beginning. So it's not enough if they're going to sit down in Abuja, and I am almost certain that they will not. I am sure. Otherwise, it won't make sense if they don't go around to look for what the people of Nigeria want and not what they think the people of Nigeria want.
You're already talking about expectations, because I think earlier when Sulaiman opened the show, when he asked you the first question, he asked you, what do you expect to be seen at the committee? You're talking about going round. That's one of them. What else are you looking to see from the committee?
What else I'm looking to see from the committee is that the committee would speak to the different people that make up Nigeria. Nigeria is not Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. It's not. Nigeria is made up of many ethnic groups. Now, how we're going to work with that number? You see, the amalgamation created this problem for us. I've always said it. You know, so the faults of the amalgamation is what's coming out 100 years after the amalgamation.
And as a go-round, 6 geopolitical zones, that's quite an interesting one and a big tour for them. And of course, it surely will be tasking. What would they be asking the people? Because when we talk about issues from amongst us, they're huge and enormous. But we also have some basic points to bring out. So when they go to different zones, for instance, they come to your own geopolitical zone, what kind of issues should come to the fore?
For instance, if they come to my geopolitical zone, my contributions as someone from that zone, first of all, we will look at the issue of resources and the ownership of it. We will look at the issues of self-determination. Self-determination is not the breakup of Nigeria. We would look at the issues of good governance. We will look at responsibility. We'll look at so many things. We'll look at development.
Do you think that there's any of these that can be termed as a no-go area?
There is nothing like no-go area if we really are serious.
You've had the argument.
We're going to be 100 years old next year. That is assuming, therefore, that we intend to go another 100 years as a country. Therefore, the things we were not allowed to discuss in 1914 or did not come up in 1914 must come up in this 2014. But between now and 2014, so Nigerians will know that from here on, we are building our nation. Nigerians have not built Nigeria so far. Nigeria was created by Lord Lugard. We existed as Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas, Ijos, Efik, Ibibio, that type of people before we were brought together. And we are still those people. We've not disintegrated. So for us to move forward as one country, and which a lot of us desire, I don't think that truly there is anybody who desires, just for the sake of desiring, that Nigeria should break up. I think people are frustrated to that point. But what we're saying is that it is possible for Nigeria, I've always said, that Nigeria has a possibility of becoming a great nation. We are great people, yes we are, but we have not succeeded in building a nation yet. And for us to succeed, this is the role we must play. We must bring our issues to the table and then know where we've gone wrong, know what I want. You may not necessarily agree with me, and I may actually step back on some of the things that I want if I want Nigeria to stay together. But we won't know these things unless we sit down and discuss.
Okay.
And,
sorry, but coming here, there's been a sort of conference like this under former President Obasanjo. Now, another events that happened, that not necessarily a conference, they'll put a panel issue. At that point, a lot of Nigerians were talking and a lot of things came forth there. But during the conference under President Obasanjo, we had issues brought up and all of that. What's the guarantee that this is not just another political settlement? And what's the guarantee that whatever they come up with will be accepted by
Well, first of all, the guarantee will come from you and I. We are the Nigerians. And we are the ones that is going to make this thing succeed, not the politicians. And this is not a political drive, as far as I'm concerned. Because if we allow it to be a political drive, it will end up like President Obasanjo's own. And President Obasanjo's own is not really an acceptance that Nigerians needed to sit down and discuss. It was a way of trying to see if some things that were undoable could be done, third term and all of that. And if you remember, the South-South geopolitical zone walked out of that conference because of the position that we took. The position the South-South took that time is not going to be any different from the position that we're going to take. Maybe we will even go a step further, because now we're not even discussing 50% or 17% or 20%. We actually want to discuss ownership. Let everybody who owns natural resources own them, and then pay tax to the federal government, and then let every state generate whatever they can generate. And then so we decentralize, we take the powers away from the federal government, because we are a federal republic, we are a federation. Now, if you look at it like that, then there is hope, as far as I'm concerned. This is one hope that we have now, and if we don't take it now, then the next 100 years is looking somehow, it's really looking jaga-jaga. But really, if we sit down and believe that we want to change Nigeria, this is the one key step that we must take. And then also, I think that Nigerians must not lose sight of the fact that if we allow this to be a political issue, we will not be able to get a new constitution out of it. And we must. The primary drive for me to changing Nigeria is a brand new constitution. Nigerians must write their own constitution.
You've talked about how you do not want this process to be driven by politicians, and we shouldn't leave it in the hands of politicians. Yet we've also talked about how this committee should go around to gather information. And I would believe that, or one would think that when they're going around, they would like to meet like a coordinated group of people, which usually will be coordinated, say, at the state level, oftentimes maybe by the state governor or thereabout. How do we then extricate the influence of politicians on whatever this committee will come out with?
I keep blaming ourselves, quite honestly, because we know that a lot of things is wrong, a lot of things are wrong with Nigeria. But I believe that we, the people, have allowed these things to be wrong with Nigeria. If we don't want governors to coordinate us for us to speak our voices. We don't have to. I have never allowed personally myself to be coordinated by anybody to drive their own